Welcome back. Question for all of you. If you sit quietly for a moment, what would you hear? Silence or some sort of ringing, hissing, or static? If it's a faint noise you hear, then you probably have tinnitus. There may be a remedy for it, but there are factors to consider. And here to help us out in today's Healthy Habits with Dr. J is Dr. Lana Joseph-Ford, founder and CEO of High Level Speech and Hearing Center. Welcome back to the show, my darling.
Good morning, Malik.
All right, now, first question I have for you. Did I say the name of the condition right? Because I know that's actually a conversation in the audiology community on how to pronounce this condition. How do you pronounce it?
Yes, absolutely, Malik. People talk about that all the time. They're like, is it tinnitus or is it tinnitus? Well, the answer is it depends on where you live. People in the South tend to pronounce it as tinnitus, and people up north and in other places, West Coast, whatever, they usually pronounce it as tinnitus. So either one depends on where you're
Very
at.
interesting, but no matter how you pronounce it, the condition is the same. What causes this condition?
Yeah, so tinnitus actually is in my practice, I like to call it a pseudo noise. And what I mean by that is it's something that is caused by dead hair cells in the auditory system or within the auditory nerve. So, dead hair cells in the hearing system or hearing loss can cause ringing in the ears, or also other issues such as TMJ is one of those things. I know people hear about TMJ pretty often. You can have an issue in the carotid artery or in one of your veins, the jugular vein, which are both very central veins. So it's a variety of different things. But the primary cause that I see, honestly, is just due to hearing loss. And another thing that I didn't get to I don't really often get to talk about, but I want to share with everyone that's watching today is also your diet can result in increased risk for tinnitus. In fact, if you have a lot of salt, high salt intake diet, you have to watch out. You have to be careful because that can increase the ringing in your ears.
And it's interesting because, a lot of us have had a little bit of ringing in our ears before. How do we determine if it's something that we really need to go and get checked out? Because it's like a pseudo noise, you said?
Absolutely, like a phantom noise. It's not a real noise. It's really those dead hair cells in the auditory nerve saying, help me. I need help. I need stimulation. Stimulate me. Give me sound. So when you do feel like you have that going on, you should definitely pay attention to the longevity of it. Is it something that you're dealing with every single day? Is it something that you're only dealing with for a short period of time? Does it come and go? Because I've had patients, Malik, that have had serious issues with that ringing, so serious that they've even looked into committing suicide. So it really does get serious if it's bothersome.
And I think it's also important to note that you need to go get it checked if it does get to a point where you can't handle it. Of course, you go and see an audiologist. What do you do in your office to help, soothe this noise? Can you soothe it?
Yes, you can actually. So we call it attenuating the noise, which just means that you find a way in your brain to, even though the noise is there, you find a way to mitigate that noise. You find a way to make the sound softer, quieter. And what we tell our patients to do, we instruct them to listen to another noise that can drown out the sound of that noise. For example, if I have high pitched tinnitus, then what I'm doing is I'm going to listen to a fan or something that's high pitched and that I know what that is, that I know exactly what's making the noise in order to drown that noise out in your brain. Oh my God, it's so wonderful and neuroplastic. And it actually adjusts to that sound and can drown out the tinnitus eventually. So it's really a therapeutic system or a therapeutic type of plan that we put our patients on.
Wow, and you're seeing right there, crickets, sirens, static, pulsing. If you're hearing any of these type of sounds for a long period of time, this may be a reason to go and see an audiologist. Very interesting. Okay, two more questions for you. One, is a way to not get tinnitus, is it to maybe get the hairs plucked out of your ears since it is a hair cell, dying? Is that one way to prevent it, or is there really no way to prevent this?
I love that question. So when we talk about the hair cells in your ears, we're talking about the hair cells that are in a nerve, and that nerve is the auditory nerve. And those are invisible to the human eye. Those are things that we cannot see without a microscope. So we're talking about nerves that die. And unfortunately, unlike our liver cells, which regenerate, these don't regenerate. So once they're gone, they're gone. This is also why we have to recommend hearing aids to people that have hearing loss, because those hair cells in your ears don't come back. Once they're gone, they're gone. And hearing aids are the only cure to that.
Very important that we check this out because, again, if you don't get it checked out, it can lead to hearing loss. Dr. J, always a pleasure, my darling. And hey, for more on this condition as well as everything else and how to treat this condition, go see Dr. J. She has two high-level speech and hearing locations, one in New Orleans on Magnolia Street, the other in Harahan on Jefferson Highway. You can also call 504-345-2984 or check out her website, highlevelhearingnola.com.